Good afternoon, writers. I'm really excited today to be able to report my first earnings on Fiverr.com. I watched a video about 5 weeks ago when I was in the UK about how, as writers and as freelancers, in between waiting for payments on our royalties from various book platforms, we can actually generate other income. This particular video talked about Fiverr and Upwork, and I'm not going to speak about the Upwork element of things today, though I have created an account and I'm submitting work and proposals on there. But what I want to talk about today is Fiverr. I set up my gigs on there and I'm offering different services as a writer. One is beta reading people's manuscripts, another is writing articles and content for web pages. Another one deals with supporting students who want to put together ideas for their first draft thesis or dissertation and looks at how I can structure and provide support in that area. 2 weeks ago, in the same week, a day apart, I had interest from two separate parties. In Germany, somebody asked me if I would write 1,200 word articles for them, and I accepted that gig. The next day, a Russian writer living in Texas asked me if I would be willing to do a beta read on her manuscript of a novel, and I said yes to that one. The first gig was priced at $150. This is for 1,200 word articles. And the second gig, to beta read and provide feedback and critique of a 55,000 word manuscript, was priced at $100. Just to be clear, when you put a gig on Fiverr, and a gig basically means this is your work offering or what you are willing and able to do, you have a basic and a middle and a premium product offering with different pricing. And in the package for the beta reading, I had said I would beta read up to 3,000 words for one price, 10,000 words for another price, and I think I'd put 40,000 words for another price. The enquiry for the beta reading of the manuscript was for 50,000 words, and because it was my first gig as a beta reader and I wanted to get the gig, I said to the lady concerned, that's fine, I'll run with the $100 pricing, because what I'd like to do from yourself, once you're happy that the work has been done to the right standard, is I'd like to get a good feedback comment or a testimonial on the work. I started first on the $150 job, which was the 1,200 word articles, and it became fairly clear after a couple of days that I was being asked to write listicles. A listicle is not a prose-driven article, it's basically a piece of research where I was asked to go online and find, for example, the 10 best pieces of product software for audio editing, or the 10 best pieces of software for staff training programs. So a very steep learning curve for me and lots of new knowledge to take on board. And for the way that I write, which is to do my research, gather the information and bring that to my laptop, probably making quite a lot of physical notes, which is what happened in this case first, and then creating and crafting an article which summarized the description of the need for that software and what it offers to users, and then 8 or 9 or 10 paragraphs about 8 or 9 or 10 different pieces of software, and then ranking the pros and cons of each of them and determining what each software was best for within its niche or within a particular industry sector. So those cost me a lot of time. I actually spent 57 hours over the last 2 weeks creating and crafting the 1,200 word articles. So in fact, I was looking at about $3 an hour after my payment of $150. And that was if I finished the project. I had to extend the timetable from 10 days to 14 days to manage to comply with the requirement for the 10 articles. But then when I had delivered, the individual queried my use of English, suggested that it would be better if I put those documents through a Grammarly software test, which is what happened. But in the end, I decided that rather than keep having to do additional work each time I had submitted the 10 articles, I stepped back from that gig or that piece of work, and I said to the individual in writing inside the Fiverr dashboard, because that's how things work with this particular software, I said, look, I consider I've done the work to the standard that was requested, but if you choose not to pay me and you don't leave a negative comment, I'm happy to walk away, because I don't think it's worth me investing any more time in what is a time-intensive process of producing those articles. So he declined the gig and will have offered the final formatting of the 10 documents to somebody else for a small price. But that's fine, because the relief I felt, having completed the job, done it to a standard I felt was good, but then said, no, I'm not prepared to keep coming backwards and forwards all the time with extra updates and extra amendments. The relief I felt being able to walk away from that, consciously knowing I'd done the right job, was great. And so with a very clear head, the next day I was able to finish the final 10% of the beta read manuscript review, which had been good because I'd been doing a few chapters of that every day for the last 10 days. I was able yesterday to finish that first read through, and as I was going through each chapter, I was putting in line edits, comments, suggested changes of vocabulary, and notes about perhaps the descriptive value of some of the chapters. This morning I woke up, grabbed a coffee, and came to sit here, and I've written 2,000 words of feedback, which I have structured based on the characters in the book, chapter sizes, which were quite erratic. I've talked about the plot lines and the way that a story has been followed through across the manuscript, or where there are holes in the plot. But I've also talked about where I think some of the characters can be enriched and given more detail for the reader to enjoy the story. So the reason I'm delighted is that because within an hour of submitting my 2 delivery elements, the first was the beta read on the 55,000 word manuscript, and the second was the approximately 2,000 words of feedback and critique. Within an hour, I received a notification on Fiverr, and I had been paid the $80, because if on Fiverr your gig is $100, you receive 80%. But I'd also received a $15 tip, so I was able to clear $95 this morning for having read a well-written manuscript, added my comment, provided feedback and critique, and I've subsequently received a nice positive review. So in summary, am I happy with the Fiverr.com platform? Yes, I am. I have earned my first $95 of received income from a total of 100 plus a tip of 15. I've received 95 and I'm happy with that. The learning process with the first gig, where I wrote the 10 1,200 word articles, has been disappointing. However, I have 10 1,200 word articles that I can create more content from and possibly use elsewhere. I have to think about that, but my main focus has been the beta read success. I consider that a really great result, and I'm actually very happy. So yes, I'm happy to recommend it. I think it's a good platform. I had to wait several weeks for those first engagements, but the first 2 orders came within 24 hours of each other and have left me with a profit.